Welcome to the Dinar Daily. Do you feel that distinct buzz in the atmosphere? Almost as if the very air around us is charged with the energy of something significant unfolding right this second. For those of you who have been meticulously tracking the trajectory of the Iraqi dinar for months, or perhaps even spanning back several long years, you understand better than anyone that the journey has often required a level of patience that feels akin to watching paint dry on a humid afternoon. It has been a waiting game filled with silence and stillness where the landscape seemed frozen in time. But today the narrative appears to be shifting fundamentally, suggesting that the era of waiting may be transitioning into an era of action. We are looking at a scenario where everything we have grown accustomed to regarding the currency's stagnation may be on the verge of a dramatic change. I have come across news today that carries a different weight because it is not grounded in the usual mill of rumors, baseless speculation, or the optimistic wishful thinking that often circulates in online communities. This information feels distinctly like a turning point, a pivot in the road that we have all been looking for. In the next few minutes, I am going to carefully walk you through exactly what has transpired, dissect why this specific development matters so profoundly, and explore how it could potentially impact every single person holding the dinar today. It is vital that you stick around for the duration of this discussion, because you do not want to miss the details of what could be one of the most consequential currency shifts in our recent memory. The time has come to buckle up and pay attention, as your endurance through the quiet times might finally be meeting its answer. So, let us dive directly into what is new and why the community is buzzing with such intensity today. An official announcement was recently published, and the nature of this publication is what sets it apart from previous updates. This is an announcement that effectively confirms that the value of the Iraqi dinar is experiencing upward momentum. It is crucial to distinguish this from the chatter we often hear. This is not a quiet whisper shared on an obscure random forum, nor is it another insider tip post from an anonymous source claiming to have secret knowledge. This is a legitimate notice stemming from the authorities themselves. The existence of such an official document changes the complexion of the conversation entirely, moving it from the realm of theory into the realm of documented economic reality. What this announcement signifies on a practical level is that the dinar is no longer simply idling in place, stuck in the mud of economic stagnation, nor is it slowly depreciating against major global currencies as it has in the past. It is moving, and that movement is upward. When a national currency begins to move up in an official capacity, it acts as a beacon, signaling that deep financial mechanics and macroeconomic policies are finally starting to align in a way that supports growth. Whether you are someone who has held on to just a few dinar notes as a curiosity, or someone who has acquired significant stacks of them over the years, this moment could mark the beginning of a genuine shift in your holding experience. It is a moment of potential reward for those who remained patient, and a sharp wake-up call for those who have been watching from the sidelines. You might be asking yourself, why does this specific kind of movement matter so much in the grand scheme of things? The answer lies in the fact that a currency's value is never just an arbitrary number flashing on a screen. It is a reflection of trust, deep-seated confidence, and the overall economic health of the nation that issues it. When the dinar begins rising, it sends a powerful, undeniable signal to international banks, large-scale investors, and global markets that something significant and positive is occurring within Iraq's financial landscape. It indicates that the currency is being taken more seriously on the world stage. It suggests that the people running the financial systems believe in its stability and its future potential enough to allow its value to increase. This tangible shift in sentiment lies at the very heart of what makes this recent announcement so incredibly powerful. It is not merely about the prospect of making a profit, although that is certainly a factor for holders. It is about participating in a broader revaluation of trust, and witnessing the potential for real, structural change in a recovering economy. For those of you who have been holding for the long haul, enduring the skeptics and the long periods of silence, this news could serve as a profound form of validation. Think back to the months or years when you held tight to your convictions, even when many voices around you said it was pointless or a waste of time. You listened to your gut instinct and you waited. If this current trend continues as the announcement suggests, what once felt like a speculative gamble could now be transforming into a calculated position that pays off. You may begin to see the value of your holdings rise, not because of internet hype or lucky guesses, but because the financial system itself is responding to improved conditions. That reward for your patience, your timing, and your strategic holding could finally be coming within reach. This news is not just exciting in a financial sense. For many, it could feel vindicating on a personal level. It is the realization that the logic you applied years ago is finally being reflected in the official data we are seeing today. Now, let's take a moment to discuss what is likely happening behind the scenes to facilitate this shift. When a currency's value starts to rise, it triggers a chain reaction among banks, exchange houses, and major financial institutions who watch these markers closely. They begin preparing for the shift by adjusting their exchange rates, issuing internal alerts, readying their transaction systems, and ensuring their operations are aligned with the new value. This preparation invariably leads to increased liquidity in the market. Liquidity is a key concept here. It simply means there are more buyers and sellers active in the market, allowing for easier access to the currency and smoother, more efficient exchanges. If demand for the currency increases due to this official rise, the rates may shift further to reflect these new market realities. For you as a holder, more liquidity translates directly into more options and greater freedom. It means you might have the ability to cash out gradually if you choose, or perhaps wait for further gains with the confidence that a market exists, or even reinvest your value elsewhere. It is fundamentally about having flexibility, control, and the ability to make decisions on your own terms, rather than being forced into a corner by low liquidity or a lack of interested buyers. This operational shift in the banking sector is a critical component of the currency's journey toward full stabilization. However, it is important to recognize that this is not just about the domestic impact within Iraq or for local holders. There are massive global implications to consider as well. When a currency starts showing real, sustained upward movement, international investors, massive financial institutions, and foreign banks take notice immediately. They begin reevaluating their exposure to that currency, perhaps even considering new investment opportunities that are tied to it. A rising dinar has the potential to attract foreign interest in capital projects, which in turn can support further stabilization or economic growth within the country. This creates a positive feedback loop or a chain reaction that can push the currency even higher over time. As foreign capital flows in, it creates new economic possibilities for Iraq, funding infrastructure and business, which opens doors for those willing to engage with the emerging market. This means the announcement is not just a local event limited to the borders of Iraq. It could be part of a much bigger global shift in how the country is perceived by the international financial community. The perception of Iraq changing from a distressed economy to a recovering one is a pivotal moment in the life cycle of its currency. If you are relatively new to currency watching or have just started following the story of the dinar, this moment serves as an excellent crash course in how forks in currency markets react to fundamental data. Think of it in terms of the stock market. When your favorite company announces strong earnings or a breakthrough product, the stock price moves up because investor trust and confidence surge. The exact same psychological and mechanical process happens with national currencies. The only difference is that instead of corporate earnings, you are dealing with macroeconomic policies, national stability, and central bank trust. This announcement effectively shows that the official economic frameworks within the country may finally be aligning with global standards. It is a unique opportunity for you to learn how currency markets operate in real time. By watching for official reports, monitoring how liquidity changes, understanding the global reactions, and staying alert to rate changes, you are getting a real-world lesson playing out live. It elevates the experience from simple speculation to an educational journey into global finance, providing insights that are valuable regardless of the final outcome. Now, let's be absolutely clear to manage expectations properly. This is not a magic ticket to overnight riches. Currency movements, even positive ones, often take time to fully materialize. What we are seeing today may very well be the beginning of a gradual climb, rather than a meteoric vertical jump in value. Stability is always the top priority for financial institutions and central banks. They rarely allow abrupt, volatile swings unless absolutely necessary, especially when dealing with currencies tied to developing or recovering economies. A slow, steady rise is generally preferred by planners over a chaotic spike. So, while the upward movement is real and meaningful, it is more likely to unfold in stages or increments. This is actually a good thing. It means that the rise, if it is sustained, could be steady and potentially long-lasting rather than a short-lived bubble that bursts quickly. A steady climb allows the economy to adjust without shock. That being said, for those watching closely, this might be a prudent time to start thinking about your personal strategy. You need to consider how you will react if the value hits certain milestones. Maybe you decide that the best course of action is to hold for now, waiting to see exactly how far the climb goes before making a move. Or perhaps you decide to gradually exchange a portion of your holdings to secure some gains while leaving the rest to ride the wave of further potential appreciation. You might even consider the concept of diversifying, using a portion of your profits or holdings to invest in other assets to balance your overall risk profile. The key here is to avoid panic moves, hasty decisions made in the heat of the moment, or following online hype blindly without a plan. Instead, you should approach this situation like a chess game, thoughtful, strategic, and with clear eyes focused on both the opportunity and the inherent risks. Let's pause for a moment and explicitly talk about those risk factors, because no financial story is ever one-sided. A rising currency, while positive, does not guarantee profit for everyone, and the landscape is complex. There are numerous variables at play, including geopolitical tensions in the region, domestic economic policies, inflation rates, and global commodity prices, all of which can affect the trajectory of the dinar. A renewed rise could stall if economic conditions change, or external shocks could trigger unexpected drops in value. That is why it is critically important to stay grounded and realistic. You must watch official statements, follow credible financial reporting, and understand that while the potential for gains is real, so is the uncertainty that comes with any market. Holding a currency or any asset always comes with trade-offs and exposure to risk. Being aware of these downsides ensures that you are not blindsided if the timeline extends or if the path becomes bumpy. Another important dimension to consider is the psychology of the market and of yourself as an investor. In times like these, when news breaks, excitement can build incredibly fast. People might begin to feel like they are missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, sets in, and suddenly forums and group chats are full of bold, unsubstantiated predictions. That energy can be contagious, sweeping you up in a wave of emotion. But history shows us that decisions made under the influence of hype are rarely the most rational or beneficial ones. It is very easy to get swept up in the what-ifs and ignore the concrete details of the situation. That is why emotional control and adherence to a preset strategy matter more now than ever before. You need to take a breath, step back, and analyze the situation calmly. Remember your original goals for entering this market. Don't let temporary excitement push you into moves you might regret later. Smart investors think long-term and stay steady. They are not reactive to every single piece of breaking news, but rather responsive to long-term trends. If you decide to stay invested, it is wise to monitor official exchange rates often, but not obsessively. Keep an eye on announcements from financial authorities or credible institutions rather than random social media posts. Track how international currency markets are behaving relative to the dinar. You might consider subscribing to professional alert services or joining reputable investor communities where information is vetted. Avoid shady forums or unverified predictions that promise the moon without evidence. In short, the best approach is to treat your holdings with respect, just as you would any serious investment, rather than treating it like a gamble or a lottery ticket. Protect your holdings physically and legally. Verify every piece of information you receive and stay disciplined in your approach. This way, you can respond to developments strategically rather than being blindsided by sudden news or false rumors. Discipline is the defining characteristic of successful long-term holding. Looking out further into the future, a rising dinar could signal much more than just potential profit for international holders. It may reflect improving economic conditions in Iraq itself, which is a massive development. It suggests growth, stability, increased foreign investment, and stronger trade relationships. These are long-term indicators that benefit more than just currency speculators. They benefit the entire ecosystem surrounding the currency. The people who live there, the working professionals, the local businesses, the exporters and the importers, they could all gain significantly from a stronger currency. A stronger dinar can increase purchasing power for the average citizen, support international trade by making imports cheaper, and improve overall economic confidence within the nation. For the average citizen, for the economy, and for future investors, this announcement could mark the start of real, tangible change that improves lives and builds wealth. For those of you holding now or thinking of buying, now is a moment for deep reflection, decision making, and preparation. Talk with trusted contacts, consult with financial advisors if that is an option for you, and discuss with other informed holders who have a level head. Share information, but weigh it carefully against official sources. Do not let the fear of missing out push you into risky moves that compromise your financial security. If you are content holding, make sure your notes are secure and that you have a plan for eventual exchange. If you plan to convert or exchange soon, familiarize yourself with the current rates, the fees involved, and the specific process required by your chosen institution. And if you are entering the market for the first time, do so cautiously. Do your homework, understand the history, and only invest what you can afford to lose. So here is what I want you to do right now as we digest this news. Stay calm, stay alert, and stay in control of your emotions and your assets. Watch the rates and watch the news, but don't let every sensational headline dictate your next move. Think long-term, protect your holdings, and know your goals inside and out. If you choose to act, do it on your own terms with confidence and clarity. For those who have been waiting, this might finally be the moment you hoped for. If you found this update helpful, consider engaging with the channel so you don't miss future updates as things unfold. Thanks for watching the Dinar Daily. Stay wise, stay patient, and I'll see you in the next update.